attacked by on the internet by two scientists who told me I'm this, I'm that. I don't have the education to make assessments like this. And I mean, we're not stupid. People see it with their own eyes. Everyday people, from ranchers in Montana to the natives in Montana to people that live in that vicinity, they're seeing things changing. What is your take on all of this?
Well, Linda, I definitely understand about being under attack by so-called people of authority and people who, even if they have the documented paper education to make these assessments to say that we're crazy and everything else. But just to fire back at that, I have a good friend of mine that had studied under a geologist who was retired. And this guy was actually out of Yellowstone himself measuring seismic activity. And he had two other colleagues of his that was measuring the gases out there. And so, it's a lot of my stuff is second and third party, but it is by people who are accredited in that field. So, but yeah, I mean, anybody, it's just all over the place, but it's turned into some wild, conspiracy theory doomsayer thing. And it's really not like that at all. I mean, you're seeing, it's proven that we've been seeing ground deformation for a long time. Earthquake swarms. It's been proven that they've been pulling certain earthquakes, whether they be, at a magnitude 3.0 or whatever, they've been pulling them off the USGS sites. They've been,
I've read that too. Yep.
Sure. But just the gas measurements out at Yellowstone that was taken just recently, where they've taken high measurements of hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide, and these are found before any type of eruption. High levels are found before eruptions in any other type of volcanoes. But the difference is you're dealing with a super volcano. That's the huge difference here.
And isn't it my understanding that the last time this volcano erupted was 640,000 years ago?
Yeah.
100,000 years ago, excuse me.
Yes, yeah, it was 640,000 years ago, and erupts on average every 600,000 years because you had the Mesa Falls Yellowstone eruption, and you had the Huckleberry Ridge and the Lava Creek eruption. And yeah, it's on average every 600,000 years. So we're 40,000 years overdue. Oh, I got to pause here.
Uh-oh.
You there, Lynn?
She's there, but I think she's having a little technical difficulty with her mic.
Okay.
Okay. I apologize about that. It happens sometimes. Let me just go to a quick commercial, and she'll be right back. She's just having, I think it's just a mic issue. It happens. I apologize.
That's okay.
Tom, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here. They haven't got me yet.
All right, let's take up where we left off. We were talking about supervolcanoes, and that's what Yellowstone is, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, that's kind of scary. You know, what's funny is some of the scientists aren't reporting on this, and it's my understanding that, you know, that steam that we see that seeps up from Yellowstone. I've never been to Yellowstone. It was actually on my bucket list, but I don't know if I'm too late or not. But helium is leaking up out of that. That's what's inside the steam. It's not just plain old steam.
Yes, the helium-4. There was a lot of people covering that for a while, and I did something on that a while back. But I think I'm even more concerned about the hydrogen sulfide and the sulfur dioxide. That is an extreme issue there. What a lot of people don't understand is that the difference between your cone-shaped volcano, like the central casting volcano, versus a super eruption. And it's all about cubic kilometers of material that gets shot up into our atmosphere. And even with just the cone type of eruption, I mean, it was Mount Pinatubo, I believe it was, in the Philippines in like 1991, around that time. And that changed our climate. And that's just a regular eruption. That changed our climate for, I think, 5 years and took a serious toll on the breadbasket of the world, you know, which is the United States.
Right. And that happened like in the 1800s, right? Or was that farther back?
No, actually, Mount Pinatubo, its last eruption was in 1991 in the Philippines.
Oh, wow. Okay. My mistake. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it actually affected our climate for around 2 or 3 years with a cooling cycle.
Well, it's very scary that the USGS only, I mean, if they were to post and capture every single earthquake, it would be extremely disturbing, I would say, to the very least.
Yeah, and also, you know, the 4.9 that was at Yellowstone recently, you know, they could not hide that at all. I mean, there's just no way, because if they can cover something up, they're going to definitely try. But
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the problem is that's where the problem lies. You can't get real information because people out here, the general public, are going to freak out. If they make a statement, it'd be the same as a near-Earth object that's heading towards Earth that could cause certain crisis. Everybody just goes into panic mode. They're going to go empty the store shelves out. It would be chaos everywhere. They would almost have no other choice but to try to declare martial law.
I believe that. I think our government knows a lot more than what they're saying, especially with Yellowstone. I think that the higher up, the elites, as I call them, know that this is a ticking time bomb, and that's why I'm seeing all these FEMA camps going up and weird trucks full of like shelters for people to stay in. It's interesting, but they know a lot more than they are letting on to.
Oh, absolutely, and the problem there is, you know, a lot of people, they talk about the FEMA camps, but again, I inform them that costs money. I mean, when you have all these people, if you evacuate, you know, millions of people, it's going to cost money to feed them, unless there's some other type of agenda going on there. And me personally, I really don't, I can say I am not going to be the one that takes my family to evacuate anywhere, not to some government-run installation anyhow.
I hear you. I know that I'm not as prepared as you, Tom, but like you said, we have to have a plan. And I do have a plan, but I won't go to those either. I have tons of camping gear, and through the years I've been accumulating more and more of it so that at least I can camp and make my own campground. But
Sure.
I won't be going to those government installations either.
Yeah. You know, and I try to urge people that, you know, to have a serious plan, because it's coming. Something's coming. Even if it's not Yellowstone, but I always try to take that and say, well, if you prepare for Yellowstone, then you'll be pretty much prepared for anything.
Well, that's very true. We're seeing all kinds of interesting things. There's so many things going on, Tom, I don't know where to begin, and I don't want to jump all around to all different things, but Yellowstone is a big one, and everyone must keep their eye on Yellowstone. You said have a plan and prepare. What do you mean by that? For the people out there that don't understand what that means, can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Sure, and unfortunately, we are dealing with a super eruption, which it would be catastrophic not only for the United States but for the entire world. I mean, this would be a global event, and you're going to need shelter. You're going to have somewhere to shelter in place for quite some time. I mean, you're looking at possible 2 months before some kind of torrential rains will come in and wash that ash cloud out, at least enough so that you can breathe. You can come outside and breathe where it won't be in your lungs. But you're going to need some type of shelter, preferably underground. And I hear a lot of people saying to go to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. And I got to say, I don't agree with that plan, because that area is probably going to be buried under 15 feet of ash after a super eruption like Yellowstone. But another thing you're going to need is a lot of water. That's the rudimentary element of life, water. So people out there now, that's just, whatever you can do to store water, just store it away. Food, seeds. You're going to need weapons. Unfortunately, there's people out there that doesn't prepare. Maybe there's someone like your neighbor who, maybe has a gun laying around and he has a couple of boxes of ammo, and once he realizes that it's a very serious situation, I mean, he may come and try to take what you have because his family's going to do without.
That's very true. That's why I'm all for my Second Amendment rights and everyone else's. I know the gun issue is a touchy subject in this country, and yeah, there are a lot of crazies that can go buy guns, but to try and take guns out of the hands of every single American, I couldn't tell you right this minute, but I'd research it. There are about 4 or 5 nations that has happened to, and their government just obliterated them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We have to learn from our history.
You know what I get a lot of too, Linda? I get a lot of this, if something like that happens, you're never going to survive a super volcano eruption. If that happens, a lot of people say they're just going to walk outside and let it obliterate them and take them away. Well, I tend to disagree, and I try to talk to people about this, because Toba, off the island of Sumatra, Toba is a supervolcano. It erupted 74,000 years ago, and this was after the Lava Creek eruption from Yellowstone. Now, and Toba was actually larger as far as cubic kilometers of ash that went up in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere, and circled the dwelling. Now, people survived Toba with less means than we would ever think about having. I mean, we have such technology nowadays, and I mean, these people were living in the bush. They were very primitive. And there was maybe, I think, like 6,000 or 7,000 survivors of Toba, but they survived. So for people to say that, you'll never survive a super eruption with all the means and ways we have to prepare today, I mean, I disagree strongly.
And they were right in, I don't want to call it the kill zone, but they were right in the epicenter of the eruption, correct? And they survived.
Well, I wouldn't